This is one of the risks that you need to take if you are going to push the strategy and the transformation forward. And so the last 8% is that hardest part of a conversation, but it's not just conversations, right? It's also those decisions around people, around strategy, around the transformation that we also face. There's something we call the 3 a.m. test. If at 2 or 3 in the morning you wake up and you're thinking about it, and you're thinking about it, that says, I think you need to, but in my case, I need to go and have the conversation. You know, I have a 23-year-old son, and I struggle. Not at work, actually, more at home. I struggle. Where's that line where I have to give him feedback? This is universal, right? And just by taking a minute and talking to your partner, you can see you're not the only one who struggles with this. So here's the next question. You can just ask yourself. You don't have to voice it out. If that conversation went well with someone at work who you need to give feedback to, someone at home, if it went well, if you were skillful, what impact would it have on your results? And think of results at home, better relationship at work, more traction, more sales, or whatever the KPI or metric you use. Just to ask yourself, is it 5 or 10%? Is it 25 or 30? Is it 50 or 75? This helps us understand what's the cost if we don't step in. If we don't do it skillfully, are you an aggressive learner? Are you open to feedback to say, hey, how can I get better? How can I get better? And this is especially important when you're going through a transformation, when you're trying to sit there and think, how do we meet this customer's need in a different way? Because their needs are changing, right? Their needs are changing. So how do we show up and adapt to their needs? How do we take an experiment to do that? What is an experiment? Let's be honest. An experiment is when some percentage of the time it won't work out. Call it 50%. Can you handle that? Can you take a risk and it may not work out? And can you be strong enough to sit in that? That's the question. So part of being a student of human behavior is this. You have a pattern. I have a pattern. We all have a pattern. When we're faced with we're getting to 91, 92%, do we step forward or do we step back? You have a pattern, so do I. The first part in our research we found is that 68% of us, 2/3 of us, avoid stepping in and they step back. I'm one of them. I'm a recovering avoider, really. I've worked very hard with my coach to be better, but this is where I fall down. Why do I avoid? Because I want to be liked. I have a relative amount of power in my life, started a company, did all this stuff. I still feel that. So I got to be careful, because if I worry too much about what they think about me, I'm not going to move into that last 8%, and our company won't evolve. It's the same for you. But the point is, if you don't know what your pattern is, you can't change it. And I think you heard, I work with athletes, I work with teams. And it's all about feedback, right? And you can have a real honest conversation about, the goals of the organization and transformation and really meeting needs of customers. And then how do we build a culture, a team that can do that, can take the risks to do that? And so you want to ask them, what's working on the team? What's not working? And what can we do to be better so we can move up into the upper right-hand quadrant? And then finally, there's this. You want to make some commitments to each other. It's hard in the last 8%. But if you make commitments as a team, we talk about the 3 agreements. If you can make 3 agreements as a team, let's say we're committing this to each other. Before we face the last 8%, we're going to commit to, here's a couple, the teams that I hear from other teams. We're going to assume positive intention. when I get information from someone, I'm not going to instantly think they're out to get me. I'm going to assume positive intention. So on our team, we're going to assume positive intention. Number two, we're not going to have meetings after the meeting to talk about what happened in the meeting. We're going to talk to them. And so if you build these agreements before you face the last 8%, it becomes very powerful. I sometimes hear CEOs or presidents come up before me and say, we're like a family. And I get that. It's a really nice intention. But I want to be clear about something. You're not a family. Even if you think of yourselves as a family, you're not a family. In a family, you don't let go of your lowest performing kid. So you're not a family. You're a high-performing organization, a high-performing team. You can still have high care, but now just bring in that high accountability. Bring in metrics. You may not like metrics. In our organization, because I'm a recovering avoider, we were more in the family quadrant. We were. And I thought to myself, you know what, we need to change that. When we started to see this cluster, this data, I'm like, I think we're in the lower right. And so we started to, what do we do to get to the upper right? And I gotta tell you, like, there are ways to do that. But it starts with you modeling.